What's going on, everybody? Good to have you with us. I'm Eric, the Obxpicker. Once again, we are on a brand new episode of the Reseller Information Network. We are happy to have you guys with us. Thank you, all you guys who have been supporting thus far. We definitely have already topped out over that 1K mark, and we're looking to continue to grow. This week, we gained quite a few other followers. So, Tim always says, tell a friend about RIN. And we definitely thank you guys who have. Continue to share that out if you would. Make sure you subscribe. You can hit that little bell. You get a notification that, hey, RIN's up to something new. So thank all you guys for being here. I did want to give some recognition to some people who had came along in the chat. First of all, we have Nicole who said you guys are dropping that knowledge for us, and we appreciate it. Sal says, thank you. Good tips and information. Stay humble and kind. Always appreciate you, Sal. Thank you for your continued support. And Glock had said, love the Tim over the years philosophizing. Like only Tim can. So he appreciate you, Glock, for stopping through. Kelly had left a thing, said, finally caught up on all the RIN videos, great information, and love that you talk about how everybody has a different flow to list. I find it helps me to pick out 5 to 10 items before I list. That stops the wasting of time between listing or trying to decide what to list next. Can't wait for the next show. Kelly, we appreciate you for being here, and thank all of the rest of you guys that are here. If you have a comment, please drop it below in the description of any one of our videos, and you may be featured on next week's show as a comment. So thank you guys for being here. We're going to go ahead and dive into, after we get an introduction on these guys. We got lots of great information coming today, but first we want to recognize the guys that are here with us. First up, we have, you guys, we missed him last week. I'll just tell you, we missed him. There was a collapse in the basement, and he made it through. He's okay. There was clothing. You had to get the firefighters in there to get him cleared up of it. But no, he was homesick. But my man Cernoch is with us today. So, Cernoch, what's going on?
Oh, man. Hey, little bit still, but we are making it through. I was laying down all week last week, but I've got some really cool information on what's trending today that I want to bring to y'all. So I'm very excited, and I'm glad to be back. Thank you guys for covering me last week as well. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we have had a little bit of RIN, not so internet virus rolling through us, and I know Leroy is still in the men's. He made it through last week's show unscathed, even though he told me afterwards, he said, man, I might have went down a little bit because I thought I was going to go down, but he made it through. We appreciate you for being here, Leroy.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, super excited about everybody leaving comments. People like asking questions, and I got hit up in my inbox last week on my Instagram. Somebody asked me a tool question. Like that means a lot to me because I'm in an area where a lot of people don't really, not really familiar with. So I appreciate people trying to give me a message and asking me certain things about tools.
Awesome. We appreciate you for being here, Leroy. And last but definitely not least, we have my man over the years coming off that big Redskins win. Well, sorry, can't say Redskins.
There you go. Gotta be careful about that sometimes. Yeah, big night last night. Shout out to the Washington Commanders. Shout out to, if you guys aren't familiar, I do a football show on YouTube. You guys should check it out. Authentic and the Beard. I'll drop a link for you guys at some point. But yeah, super stoked about that. And we're gearing up here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a big believer in the whole Q4 craziness to a certain extent, but this upcoming weekend is a big weekend for resellers as we get into that sort of small business Saturday, Cyber Monday, Black Friday sort of situation. So it's going to be a busy week for everybody, but I definitely want to say thank you to everyone, as always. We appreciate all the love and all the support. We would not be able to do this if it was not for you all, the wonderful viewers. And it wouldn't be a weekly introduction without me giving everyone an update on the 7-Eleven points. I've been waiting to figure out how I'm gonna do like my dramatic like video once I do hit the milestone of 100,000. I've been averaging. I've been spending a lot less, so I've been getting a lot less 7-Eleven points, but I'm averaging close to 500 to 600 in between each episode. So we are currently sitting at 97,594 7-Eleven points. We are inching closer and closer and closer to the milestone of 100,000 7-Eleven points.
There you go. Man, we can't wait to see that slushy machine rolled up into the back of Tim's backdrop when it gets there. But hey, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into the 101 with my man Leroy.
Okay, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking the 101 about organization. Having an organization or being organized is very important in reselling. As a beginner or someone who's been doing it for a while, I always try to suggest to do it from the beginning. But if you've been reselling for a while and you think that you need to get a little bit organized, just try to spend a little bit of time every day, dedicate a half hour to try to go back into your listings or back into your stock and try to do things where it's easy to find and stuff like that. Mine today is going to be on how I store my stuff and what I do right from the beginning. So I start off right in the photo booth, and when I go to take my pictures, I'll put a little SKU card or a little sticker that I use to show where it's going to go, what the weight is, other little things I need to put on that to make it easier for me when I go to store my items. Here's an example. This item's getting ready to be take pictures of. Here's the item, and here's my little SKU number, and I have the ounces on there. That's what I try to do with every picture, so I know that it's there. I also get, with my stuff, I'll put a lot of my stuff in a plastic bag or wrap it in saran wrap because I use a lot of open bins. So as you can see here, these pictures show you just a little bit of how I use my bin system. Everybody can have it different. Some of my smaller items.
I got it.
Okay, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking the 101 about organization. Having an organization or being organized is very important in reselling. As a beginner or someone who's been doing it for a while, I always try to suggest to do it from the beginning. But if you've been reselling for a while and you think that you need to get a little bit organized, just try to spend a little bit of time every day, dedicate a half hour to try to go back into your listings or back into your stock and try to do things where it's easy to find and stuff like that. Mine today is going to be on how I store my stuff and what I do right from the beginning. So I start off right in the photo booth, and when I go to take my pictures, I'll put a little SKU card or a little sticker that I use to show where it's going to go, what the weight is, other little things I need to put on that to make it easier for me when I go to store my items. Here's an example. This item's getting ready to be take pictures of. Here's the item, and here's my little SKU number, and I have the ounces on there. That's what I try to do with every picture, so I know that it's there. I also get, with my stuff, I'll put a lot of my stuff in a plastic bag or wrap it in saran wrap because I use a lot of open bins. So as you can see here, these pictures show you just a little bit of how I use my bin system. Everybody can have it different. Some of my smaller items I'll put in these small brown boxes, and then the bigger items I put in the back, bigger bins. It's always important to just try to be organized. I hope this tip helps everyone. See you guys next week.
Man, thank you, Leroy. Definitely, it is a great tip to get organized from the jump. And like you said, you really, to go back and do it does seem overwhelming, but a little bit at a time, it will get you there eventually. And just, try to be committed to it going forward. It will help you save time in the long run for sure. So now we're going to jump into our trending episode with Cernoch.
Hey everyone. All right, so I'm coming to you with what's trending, and this right now is a perfect time for, winter's coming, holidays are coming. I'm going to talk about men's boots today. Okay, men's boots. Now, we all go to the thrift stores, we all go to places, and we look for shoes. And, you can see the Nikes, you can see the Adidas, you can see the high-end shoes, and a lot of times these thrift stores have caught on to these higher end sneakers. Okay, that's why we're seeing Goodwill and some other places, the prices are outrageous. But what I found recently is going in the boot section, and you can find a lot of times, hey, they may not particularly think that style or that brand, they may have never heard of that brand. So these are good finds that you can find maybe on the cheap. These are some definitely I have some definitely sleepers and some higher end too. So what we're going to learn about some styles, some certain styles of men's boots, and we're going to learn about brands of men's boots. And so listen, I sell a ton of boots, and they are taking off for Q4 already. So we're going to jump into it. The first boot I'm going to show y'all, you've probably seen it. It's an all-time classic. It's the Timberland Premium 6-inch waterproof boot. You can call them wheats or butters or constructs or whatever. This is an all-time classic. They come in different colors. They come in different patterns. But I definitely pick these up every time I see them. And if they're anywhere, $10 and other, I'm picking these up. So this is your classic Timberland Premium 6-inch boot. Now let's move on to the next one, which is the Clark Wallaby boots. Now, the Clark Wallaby boots, these came out in the 60s, but they have remained a staple in fashion. It's a moccasin style boot with usually kind of like a suede leather upper and with an Italian crepe sole. These were definitely made popular by the Wu-Tang Clan in the 90s. So Clark Wallabies, every time I see these, I pick them up and they resell great. Now, you want to talk about reselling great? Here's another boot, another all-time classic that you want to look out for. Okay, your LL Bean original bean boot. Now, on the back of on the picture doesn't show up, on the back of the boot, it will say LL Bean boot, made in the USA. Another boot that looks very, very similar to this that LL Bean also makes is the Maine hunting shoe. Okay, these are iconic. Are introduced in the early 1900s. They're waterproof. They've got the leather upper. Sometimes they come with insulated materials, kind of like Gore-Tex. That's another thing. If you see Gore-Tex on any of the boots that I showed today, it is a definite pickup. Okay, I have sold so many pairs of these LL Bean boots over the years, and they always do well. It's kind of like a classic staple to a men's wardrobe. All right, so next up is going to be, hey, we heard about UGG boots. How about UGG boots for men's? This is the UGG boot Biltmore Hiker. Okay, I show this not because of just the brand, but the model itself. These hikers are very, 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 very popular right now, especially with like the contrasting laces, the contrasting you've got the metal eyelets. They're a classic hiking boot, that are usually lightweight and rugged at the same time. A bunch of brands make this style of boot, but I'm showing the UGG boot right now because they are definitely one of the most comfortable boots. Now, getting more rugged, your Red Wing Classic Mock. This has that Vibram sole. Red Wing is a boot manufacturer. Usually when I see it out at the thrift or out at the garage sale or wherever I go shopping, I get excited because Red Wing brings in money. Okay, this style right here is kind of that like that factory worker tradesman work boot that has definitely kind of expanded across the fashion sense from just just not only, hey, these are gonna be my work boots, but also look stylish as well. All right, jumping in now. Here's a little bit different. You may not have heard of the brand Taft, but the Taft Jude boot. This is a Chelsea boot right here. Chelsea boots have come on strong in the last 5 years. Now, some people may say that they're out of fashion. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something like this. As a reseller, there's some things that they say may go out of fashion and come back in. These are definitely still in fashion. You know why? People are still buying them. So this one, this one's really nice. Taft is a nice brand that uses like premium quality, and they do Taft a lot of times likes to do these like floral accents as well with their leather. So definitely take a look at this. Now we're going to get into more serious hiking type boots. And the next one is a staple, the Danner Light. Okay. This one right here, another one with it's got the Vibram soles. Usually you can find these with Gore-Tex, got the leather upper. Okay. These are premium boots. I have sold many pairs of Danner boots over the years as well, and they do not disappoint in their price range. They do keep really, really good value because they're built so well with quality materials. Okay, an upcoming boot company is Thursday Boot Company. Okay, you may have seen them. They have a big online presence right now. They're making very nice, affordable, high quality material boots right now. So definitely take a look at Thursday Boot Company. If you run across this at the thrift, it is a definite pickup. You haven't, you're not finding them as much, but as this brand grows, you're going to be finding more and more of these. So I just want to give you a heads up. Thursday Boot Company. This is called the Captain Lace-Up boots, but they make all kinds of different boots. Okay, next one's another Chelsea boot. These come out of Australia. Okay, these are built for utility. Okay, they've got the wide round toes. They got the nice smooth leather. Nice pull-on tabs. These are out of Australia. Now, the one thing that if you're looking at Bloodstones, they may have a UE sizing or a UK Australian sizing, similar to another brand we're going to talk about later. So definitely do your research. Bloodstone is a definite pickup. This is one, put in your notebooks right now. Bloodstone. If you see this, these sell great, and they sell at a very premium price, even for resale. All right. Next up, the Mark Nolan Belmont Wingtip Combat Boots. Okay. Now, these are a little cross style. Now, the thing is, when I go to thrift, I always look for something that's a little more funky, or say you see a boot that whoa, that's a combat style, a wingtip boot. Take a look at it, pick it up, look at the brand, look at the quality, feel the quality. Okay, so this is like a little fashion twist on what we've been kind of talking about. Talking about fashion, Ralph Lauren Ranger boots are an iconic staple on the Ralph Lauren line, especially with Polo and Polo Sport. They've got that cool strap. They've got the iconic logo. So definitely take a look at these. Polo sells almost on name alone. Now we're going to go to Doc Martens. Okay. Hey, I love finding Doc Martens at the thrift. These are the 1460s, the smooth leathers. They're very iconic. A lot of the vintage ones sell well. And don't worry about distressing. Don't worry about if they're messed up. I have taken some Doc Martens that look trash and still got a really nice resale out of them. So Doc Martens, they've got that iconic airwear little tab on the back. They've got they've got the big chunky soles. These are 70s, 80s, 90s. Punk, rock and roll. It's got it all for you. The next one now, This one is style, okay? This is like a paraboot mountaineering boot. When you see this style, it has like a double tongue, okay, that lays over, okay, to make it waterproof. If it's got the the metal eyelets, it's got the fast lacing system. These mountaineering boots, Danner has these, Vast has these, Paraboot. There's a bunch of different companies, but these are in demand. I just sold a pair of these last week. Not this brand, but a similar brand style to this brand. So definitely be on the outlook on that. And then the last boot I want to show you, there's been some fusion boots, not confusion, but fusion boots that are usually more of a sneaker upper with a nice, nice rugged outdoor bottom. These are really becoming trendy right now. So this is why I wanted to show you. These are the Cole Haan 4 0 gram boot. And these are very becoming popular. I know Helly Hansen has some. I know Polo's coming out with some. So be on the lookout. Like I said, I wanted to show you different brands and different styles. So when you go into the thrift, definitely pass by the boot section. I know they have all the cowboy boots, but take a look at these other boots, because guess what? Some of these boots can be even if they're used for resale, in resale, could be $200, $300, $400. I've sold some high-end used boots. So hopefully this helps y'all. And like I said, I'm going to be looking for boots. Who else is going to be looking for boots?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking for boots.
Nice.
Hey, it's funny because as you were talking, I'm actually looking up Chelsea boots, because I'm like, for me, when I think Chelsea boots, the first thing I think is Beatles, Rolling Stone. Like you look at those guys in their boots. But an interesting fact that I actually found when I'm looking up at Cernochs talking, like, dude, what all Chelsea boots are there? So apparently in the early Star Wars, all the stormtroopers wore Chelsea boots.
Yes, that is correct.
Right. That's a little fun fact for you guys. But I know Cernoch has got me on the boot game. Like I've been out sourcing, and if I see boots like at yard sales, that kind of stuff, my eyes drawn. First thing I do is flip them over. Do they say Vibrant? Do they say Gore-Tex? Like, yeah, that's some stuff that he's taught me along the way. So yeah, definitely the time of year. Be on the lookout for the boots. And any time of year, really, boots. I've sold them summer, winter, fall, because somebody always needs them. So thank you, Cernoch, for that trending episode. Next up, we got Tim with reseller hacks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going on another little bit of a field trip. I'm going to take you guys over to the Overtheyears shipping station, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a hack when it comes on how to use bubble wrap. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Overtheyears shipping department. Today, we're going to give you guys a quick little shipping hack to kind of help, another way to help prevent your items from getting damaged in the shipping process. Okay, so here we have 2 pieces of bubble wrap. Now, this is obviously the extremely heavy duty industrial best bubble wrap in the world that I use. But even then, you can see that right here where the 2 pieces connect is no protection. So if you were to wrap multiple pieces of this around an item, I should have got an item to show you guys. Ugh. Now, if you were to wrap this around an item, okay, so say you did like this. Right now, that glass is exposed because of that gap right there. Now, I'm going to take these 2 pieces and I'm going to break them into 2, okay? Same thing if you're using regular big bubble wrap. Right here, where these 2 pieces connect, you can see there's no protection. If you were to wrap this glass up, now you have this line here that has no protection. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to take those 2 pieces and split it into two. Now remember, this mostly deals with large bubble wrap. With the small bubble wrap, even though there is going to be a gap there, most of the time you'll either have a larger bubble wrap over top of that smaller bubble wrap, or you're going to double bubble the small bubble. So it's not necessarily a big deal with the small bubble wrap as much as it is the big bubble wrap, because all it takes is for one piece, one little exposure to glass, ceramic, pottery, anything breakable, that if you don't pack it properly, there's a possibility of damage. This can also help you save on bubble wrap because you're really utilizing all of the bubble wrap, and you don't have to add another piece to cover up a piece that had an exposure to the item. Now what I'm going to do is with these two pieces right here, obviously these come in smaller break off pieces than normal big bubble wrap. I'm going to take some tape. Okay, and I'm going to tape that one side, and I'm going to tape it to the other one. Now I've created where there's no gap in the protection. I'm going to take another piece of tape, make sure I do the other side, and voila. Now you have bubble wrap with no exposure. Same thing with the normal bubble wrap. You can see, I mean, this line isn't even regular bubble. I mean, it's exposed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to the other exposed end, and I'm going to overlap the two. And I'm going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to tape it. So now there's no exposure. You have perfect bubble. But make sure you don't forget to do the back side also. And that way you have no exposure on both sides. So that is just a little bit of a shipping hack to help you all make sure that your items don't break in transit, along with some of our other shipping hacks on which we have showed you. So hopefully this helped some of you. And if you ever have any questions about packing, shipping, or bubble wrap or hacks, don't forget to ask us here at the Reseller Information Network. Thank you guys very much. This is Tim signing out from the Over the Years Shipping Department. Enjoy.
Man, what an adventure. Anytime you get to go into the Over the Years lair and Tim gives us the behind the scenes shipping master classes, then, that's always a good day. And bubble wrap is obviously, if you're not using bubble wrap, I don't know how your stuff arrives safely. I know there's a couple guys on this panel who use bubble wrap. It doesn't matter. Leroy uses bubble wrap on wrenches, on sockets, you name it. I think he goes back to the days of being a kid and just popping them with his fingers. But don't pop your bubble wrap before you use it. That's a pro tip from me. So, guys, at this point, I did want to just mention something that here at RIN that we're looking forward to doing it as we draw closer to Christmas. Here we are. What are we about? Like 6 weeks out now. We're knocking on the door of Christmas time. But what I wanted to mention to you guys, and this is something that I myself am going to be adhering to, I know some of the guys on the panel, is something that we want to look into doing, is we want to support other resellers in our community. We do consider the people who support us, the people that we've befriended through YouTube. You are part of a bigger family, this reseller community. I know that there is, like every family, there's pockets of people that maybe they don't have different points of view. Us on this panel, we have different points of view at times, but we still all consider each other family. And so what we want to do is we want to support our family. So from now until Christmas time, we are looking to feature other resellers, whether it be their eBay store, their Poshmark, whatever it may be. We want to feature you on an episode. So we're going to be picking 2 or 3 a week, randomly picking 2 or 3 people a week that we want to pop up your eBay store, maybe take a look at 2 or 3 items and just really promote your store so that other resellers can purchase something from you. So all we ask to be promoted on this is just drop a comment down below with your reselling store. The other question we would say, hey, do you have a question for us? Do you have a question, whether it be put yourself in the mindset of I'm brand new to reselling, what's something that I think is good information that people need to find out about. Maybe there's a tip that we could help you along the way. Whatever that question is, drop a question, drop your eBay store, and we will feature you in an upcoming episode. And then don't forget, even the guys on this panel, everybody's links are down below. If you want to check out our eBay stores, no pressure to buy anything, but if you want to go in there and look and support other resellers, here's your chance. We don't have a paywall or anything like that. We have referral links for things that we think will help you, and we have our eBay stores down there. So feel free to jump down and check that out and share your store as well. So we're looking forward to that. But now we're going to jump into the Q&A section of the program. And so let's jump. So one of the questions I had is really, it's a question, but not a question. I tried to help out. Charity, we appreciate you so much for being involved in our channel. Charity's probably got the most comments thus far in all of the RIN videos. And, she is someone who is eager to learn, eager to be a part of the community, and has dropped in our Tuesday chats, which we welcome questions there as well. She had a particular type of Raggedy Ann that she was trying to find out some information about. And I honestly searched myself. I could not find information about this item. So the question really is, so what if you have an item that you've used eBay, you've used Google, you've used Google Lens, you've used all these things, and I cannot find this particular item. So in that case, what do you guys do? How do you handle that item? Do you put it on the shelf? Do you list it? Like, what would be your approach? Let's dive into it with Cernoch.
So I come across this often because I do like a lot of vintage hats. So there's sometimes I can't find, the hat online. I can't find the hat even on the internet. I've had some hats so rare. It's like, hey, yeah, if you find that on the internet, let me know, okay? Because I can't find it. The best thing that I do usually is I look for items that may be around similar to that item or around the same time period, and to go based off of comps to be like, okay, like a Raggedy Ann doll, maybe like it might not be the exact one, but taking a look at other ones, maybe it's homemade, maybe using the context clues of my item to look for similar items that are from that time period, and then sometimes, man, if I list it high, I never know if someone's gonna want I don't know, there's no comps, so I'll just sometimes list it high, higher than everything else that's comparable, and see what happens. The best thing is you sell it for full price and you smile and be happy, or you get an offer and you take the offer. It just depends on what you have in that item and how much you spend for it. So those are all things you can work on. But I wouldn't get frustrated if you can't find it online, because remember, the internet's only about 25 years old. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different items out there that I've come across that you do not find any instances of this item on the internet. So don't be frustrated, but use that to hopefully make some money.
Leroy.
So guys, listen, first and foremost, you're going to hear some background noise today because I deal with tools. So what would it be like me talking about tools or talking about stuff without hearing hammers and stuff in the background? But what I do is I'll go looking for it. I'll try to search it. If I can't find it, I will actually put unknown. I do all eBay. I'll put unknown in my title, see description, and I will literally ask for help. And I will say, if anybody knows what this is used for or what this is, any of your information is really appreciated. And I'll tell you, probably most of the time, somebody will explain to me a little bit better about the item that I'm trying to list. Like Cernoch said, I will list it high in the beginning just because I don't want to lose it in case it's something that's really valuable. And it works for me. That works for me.
Tim.
I mean, literally, I think I would probably take a little bit of what both Cernoch and Leroy said. Obviously, it depends on the category of the item. Something with, what's important is obviously if there's any sort of identifying factor on the item, so a tag or a marking or something like that, then you can kind of use that as a brand. Okay, so now you at least have a brand, and then you can compare it to other items within that brand or a similar items that are the exact character. In this case, Raggedy Ann. So that's definitely something that I would do. Obviously, also, you can use a lot of social media sometimes to help you, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Obviously, not every Facebook group is going to be nice, but there are a lot of helpful Facebook groups out there. And if you post something on Instagram, hashtag something that might help you. Twitter as well. Those are some things that might help you identify the item. Also, I always invest in books. Like Cernoch brought up a very interesting point about the internet. Like, not everything is on the internet, believe it or not. So, a lot of times where books might help you, this is, obviously goes gearing towards more old items, whether it's glass, toys, primitive things of that nature. There's books for all that stuff. So that's why I always tell people to pick up books when they're out and about, if they find them in a thrift store or yard sales, because at one point in time, they may prove to be very useful and helpful. So as far as listing goes, most like the other two gentlemen here that have answered this question, I probably too would list items with a little bit more value, not knowing what it is, just for my own comfort, to make, because I don't want to underprice something, because everybody knows that feeling when something sells immediately. You're like, oh, I think I messed that up and I underpriced it. But at the same time, I think you also have to look into how much you have into the item. So if I find something for $2 and I can't figure out what it is, if I don't, over time, you start to be like, okay, I know this has to have some value just because of the quality, or you've dealt with something similar to it, so you kind of know it has value. It's easier to list it higher. But sometimes if I find something for $2 and I don't necessarily have that itching of a feeling, I might list it for 25, $30 and be like, okay, whatever. I paid $2 for it. It's gone. Like, it doesn't really bother me. I accomplished what I set out to do, and that was make money off of buying something and reselling it. The other thing is that obviously, there's so much that goes into the items. So sometimes if you have a feeling and you don't necessarily want to rush the listing, it's okay to put it aside for later and come back to it. The big thing is you want to make sure you come back to it, because a lot of times you'll do that and you won't come back to it. But I have been in a case before where I bought something for 10 cents and I had a feeling about it, and I waited and waited and waited, and eventually I saw the signature that matched the item while I was watching the Antique Roadshow, and it turned out to be a very valuable piece, and I was very glad that I didn't just throw it up for $25. So, sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, but it's just sometimes you need to have a little bit of patience. Other times, just list high and let it fly, baby.
There you go. Yeah, I somewhat answered her question in the chat, basically using all the information I already knew from you guys. But like, what she has is a 1973 Bob's Merrill Raggedy Ann Cutie Shopper, battery operated, complete in the box, original box. So when I tried to look this thing up, it was nothing is out there like it. There are obviously tons of Raggedy Ann. If you look at that, Bob Merrill apparently was a very popular version of that. But yeah, basically dittos on everybody's comment. Like, you just, sometimes you just got to take a chance on it, like, and put it out there and see. And a lot of times, like Leroy said, people are gonna, like, they'll comment. Like, sometimes it's honestly almost rude. I can't believe you listed this for this much. This thing is this. It only sells for whatever. But I don't care. Like, I mean, just give me the information. Like, thanks, appreciate you. Have a nice day. Whatever. But like, Facebook groups are usually a help if you put it out there. Like, I'm sure there's some Bob Merrill, Raggedy Ann situation going on that probably if you put that up there, you might only not have to list it because you might find a buyer right then and there. Like I say all the time, is make sure though that you're protecting yourself. Like I would use like PayPal, commerce side of PayPal. Don't use friends and family. That way you've got a little seller protection. So that would be my 2 cents about that. Next up, we got, and I think this question has more to do with time management, but also how much do you source versus how much do you list? Like, I mean, do you have a specific numbers you're looking at? Do you have like a time allotment? Like, what does that look like for you guys? And we'll just start back at Tim. Go reverse.
This is a very tough question because there's no real answer to it, in my opinion. Obviously,
just give us a fake one.
Obviously, you have to source in order to make money because that's what we do. We buy things and we sell them. So sourcing is definitely very important. It's so difficult to balance it because also you can't just buy things and not list them because then you're not selling them. So it's like if you don't have a balance between sourcing and listing, then you're probably going to be in a jam like I am, like most resellers are at some point in time, because it's hard to balance it because the other thing is you have life. Like I wish I had a day where I could just go out and be like, okay, I'm going to do nothing but go to thrift stores all day long and buy. Like that would be
great.
Yeah, that sounds like a movie. Like it sounds amazing. But unfortunately, I have to pack, I have to ship, and we have to list. So I think it's just about finding what's comfortable with your schedule. And obviously, that's always going to be changing. And, like some people who have, everything at their house, it's a little bit easier because you can kind of do everything at your house, either the night before or the morning of. And then, when you go deliver your packages, you can go to the thrift store. But, some people have family. They have to come home, cook dinner. They got to pick their kids up from school. It's just finding the balance that works for you. There's no real answer. Anybody who tells you, oh, you need to source this amount of time a week or you need to list this amount of time a week, they're giving you a generalized answer. I'm gonna sit here and give you a real answer that there is no answer. You have to find out what works best for you. Ideally, I've been trying to list a little bit more. Tuesdays, the whole reason why I became part of this what we do here is because of Tuesday listing and loafing. It provided me like, okay, I am going to list on Tuesday. Even if I get around, even if it's only, photographing and stuff like that. Today, when we did our listing and loafing, I, pulled out the perfumes. I went downstairs. I washed the golf clubs, brought them back upstairs. I took photographs of those. I listed those, so it's like you got to find some time. Like it's difficult when you just say, all right, I'm going to list all day today. It's not necessarily always productive. Sometimes it's better if you list for 5 hours, go source for a couple hours, come back. Also, what I would suggest is what I've gotten really good at since I've been here at the new house is generally when I bring stuff, when I go sourcing, I bring it home, I list it really quick now because I don't have anywhere to store it here at this time. So it's like I can't just stack stuff up everywhere, even though I have some stuff that needs to go out. It's not necessarily stuff that I've bought recently. It's older stuff, but still, nonetheless, that's one thing that will help you is try to source and list at the same time. That'll be a huge help. But hopefully that gave some guidance to answering that question. I know it's not necessarily probably what you want to hear. It's a lot easier to hear. You got to list for 5 hours a day. You got to source for 5 hours a day. But I'm going to keep it real with y'all because that's what we do here at Reseller Information Network.
Cernoch.
All right.
You're
Tim,
muted.
Tim brought up some good stuff. Yeah, you just never know. But what I try to do is I try to make so if you have some good thrift shops in your area, I always say make it a point to try to go there, a few times more than just like once a week. Like if you say, oh well, Mondays is the time I go thrifting, it might not be the best time to go because the way they have inventory set up, they're doing sales or whatever. I always say like, hey, if you're full time, try to hit up your thrift stores or your RA, your retail arbitrage stores more than once a week. Me personally, I like to try to go to my, honey hole every single day, every morning to see what they have. So, but it's different in my situations. But, say you're going to Ross and looking for sneakers, or going to, Marshalls for clothing. You're going to have to go more than once a week or once every 2 weeks to find something. So definitely do that. And hopefully that helps. But I would say this, hey, everyone wants to source. But hey, you do have to give your time to list as well. So definitely make sure you give your time to list as well.
Leroy.
So I feel that we have like a lot of veterans, and I also feel like there's a lot of new people that watch the show, and a lot of people, it depends on the capital. So, how much money do I have? Or I only have this much to spend. That's okay. It's okay. Me personally, I only spend so much per week on buying new stuff. I like to source in the mornings. I have a couple of spots I know which days. On Mondays, I'm going to be here. Tuesdays is free. Wednesdays, I'm going to be here. Thursdays is free. And I sort of base it on that. And when I go to these places to look at stuff, I always say, hey, do you know anybody who has this? Do you know anybody who has stuff? And I will schedule that towards the morning. I know that I can make up listing after I'm done shipping by 5 o'clock. So from 5 o'clock until whenever, I'm going to make sure I get my listings in. But I always try to schedule it where I do it earlier in the morning to do my sourcing. And I always do, depending on what I have for income coming in. But, don't be afraid to, just have a schedule. Having a schedule is okay, but just try to get an idea of wherever you're going to source, is that the right time to go?
For me, I've done I source all kinds of ways. So it really depends. Like yesterday, I got a phone call from a guy. He said, hey, invitation only, Thursday, 10 a.m. Well, that may not be my normal time that I would be outsourcing. But if there's an opportunity arise, like, I'm going to take it. That's just how it is. The other thing is, like, for me, a lot of what I do is yard sales. Those are typically on the weekends. So Saturday is usually a sourcing day. Used to, when I first got started, I did thrift stores, and we have 7 thrift stores in our area. It would take me about maybe an hour round trip between going in the stores, coming out, doing that kind of thing. So I would schedule like 2 hours to where every like 4 or 5 times a week, I would go make the circuit, make a little circuit and come back. But with the goal in mind of a lot of times, I think you can look at things and work backwards from them. And that's me. Like, I mean, if you say, okay, I need to make X, I need to make this much money every week to eat, to do what I need to do. Then if you're part-time and you're saying, okay, I need to make this much money extra every week, that means you either got to have that much inventory to list to make that much money, or you got to buy that much inventory to list to make that much money. So from a very like base level practical standpoint, work your math backwards. Okay, my average sale price is $30, right? Like, now my average sale price is different than that, but like, if you just say my average sale price is $30, out of which, like, conservatively, let's say I make $15, like, that's conservative. Like, $15 off of 30, I need to make an extra $150 a week. That means I need to sell 10 items a week. Well, what are you selling? Like, how quickly are you selling items? Like, if you're selling one a day, then obviously you got to list more to get more than one a day. I would say, like, if you need to sell 10, you're probably going to have to list 100. Like, to be honest, like, I mean, that's just realistic. Like, you're probably going to have to list 100, which means I've got to either pull 100 items from my death pile. I got to buy 100 items every week. Like, that's just how it works. So I think, do a little math, figure that out. For most of us, like in this thing, you can see behind me, I've got, stuff galore. Cernoch's got stuff galore. He doesn't have to buy. I don't have to buy I could probably take a break for a little while and be okay. But, the other thing is fresh inventory sometimes is a motivator. I know people that actually say, I'm not going to buy anything else until I list this many items, or I'm not going to buy anything else until I do this, just to stay motivated. I'll get on runs to where I will say, when I process everything on a Saturday, I want to have that listed by Tuesday. Tuesday is our big listing day. By Tuesday, I want to have all that gone through, and then I can dig through my death pile the rest of the week. Because this time of year, there's less sourcing opportunities. For each one of you guys and for each one of us, it looks different. It looks different. For me to say, hey, you got to list 20 items a day, that may not be for you. That may not be, your average sale price may be $10, that you're making $5 profit, for you, if I've got to make this much money, that's going to be a lot more listings. Right now, knock on wood, this isn't a braggadocious kind of thing, but used to, my sell-through rate when I first started was around $20, $25 is where I was at. When I first got going, I've pushed that thing up, man. I'm up to right at $50, $50 average sale price. So for me, I don't have to sell as many items as what I used to have to sell to get the same result. So you just do some reverse engineering, be honest with yourself. I need to do this much work to get this kind of result. And then be wise with your time, whether it's spent sourcing or listing. It is easy. And honestly, man, I would love it. I've told these guys repeatedly, dude, if I had a YouTube channel to the point I was making so much money just filming myself going to pick, dude, I'm just stopping at the auction house every day. I'm just dropping the stuff off and going and picking again tomorrow. That's all I would do is travel around and pick. But the reality of it is, the other thing I'll tell you about all these guys that are here on this panel, we're all one-man band. We're doing it. We've got to do it or it don't get done. So for us, we know if we pick it up, we got to list it. We know if we want to sell it, we got to list it. So you got to get your priorities, where they need to be, but just reverse engineer that thing. It's easy to figure out. Look at your average sale price. Look at, how many items you're selling a week. Look at, these items and say, this is my goal. This is where I want to be. And this is what it's going to take to input to get there. And people's numbers vary. Some people's average sale price is higher or lower. Some people's sell-through rate is faster because they're picking up items that sell quicker. If you're doing certain categories, it's going to take longer to sell. We know I sell a little clothes. Cernoch sells a lot of clothes. He can tell you, some of those items are long tailed. That they're going to be here with you for a little while. So you just have to keep, sourcing to find some quicker selling items, because we've both talked about this past week. And everybody in the chat, we've talked about this past week. We've all had items that we picked up that sold in a day. Boom, it's out. We list it, it's sold in a day, it's out. Now we're on to something else. So the other idea is turning that money as quickly as possible. So, all right, let's tackle a couple more questions. I think we lost Tim onto the internet, having some issues with that. So we're going to dive into the next one. Guys, let's go ahead and look at best finds of 2022. Best finds of 2022. What do you guys got so far?
I didn't have time to look this one up. I've had a few of them around $300. Maybe about 5 actually. About 5 items. I don't remember about the $300 mark. That's usually stuff that I find at the flea market, and I usually don't know that it's worth that much. It just comes out that way.
I know Leroy actually just picked up some sat phones this week that are anywhere from 3 something to 600. So yeah, I know that those are some big ones. Cernoch.
All right, so I have a good one for this one. So yard sailing, probably a month ago, they had it was around the next to last, second to last weekend of real yard sales. So right now outside, it may look bright out there. It's gloomy. It's raining. It's like winter's slush right now. But so I got done with this. It was called the Bat Creek 16-mile yard crawl. So I had started at the other end and came all the way down. All right. And it was right there. They had a big trailer, okay, full of stuff. And I saw a few items, and I saw this leather jacket. I was like, let me go look at this leather jacket. I pick up the leather jacket. I see the brand, and I'm like, man, I've been looking for you for 5 years. It was a shot Marlon Brando style motorcycle jacket with all the bells and whistles, made in the USA. I knew exactly what it was when I saw it. It was in immaculate condition. And I looked at there was 2 kids running the yard sale. I guess they were selling their dad's stuff. And I said, how much you want for the jacket? She goes, $5. I said, all right. And got home. I let it hang for a while. I didn't list it right away. I let it hang for a while. Put a little leather conditioner on it. It popped. It looked great. Listed it. It took about a week, and it sold for $495.
Jeez.
So, not the biggest sale I've had, but that was the most memorable because that's a brand that's like definitely on my BOLO list. And it's crazy because, like 2 weeks later, I found another jacket, not that jacket, but another vintage shot leather jacket. It was the Aviator, the puffy collar Aviator jacket, and I got that at the Mission for $3. So that was pretty good. So yeah, that was probably my best find for 2022.
For me, like Cernoch was saying, sometimes best finds aren't always like the biggest money stuff. Like sometimes you find some cool stuff that you just like. I normally up until this year, I'll be honest, like I've had massive scores of stuff. Like it seems like just running up on stuff. Like the earlier in the year, we were actually at the 100-mile yard sale with these guys and up with Kevin, and pulled the like 100+ hats for $100, and me and Cernoch flipped a bunch of them. Chris, old school picker, actually got us hooked up in 850 hats at one point. But so like some of those are memorable picks for me. As far as the most valuable item I have is still unlisted, I'll be honest, just because I'm nervous for one. For two, I actually have been scouting and trying to find a belt for this rig. This thing is a turntable, and it is a Yamaha turntable. It's got the floating table. I picked it up at a estate sale. I paid $100 to fill the back of my car at my van at this estate sale. I get home, look that thing up. It's heavy as lead. Solid state Yamaha. That thing sells for about $2,000. So wow. I just like that's now you understand why I'm a little nervous about that thing. Like it's weird for me sometimes when I get on those super high end buys. I'm like, wait a minute, like just take a breather. Let's make sure everything is like it should be, because the last thing you want is one of those things to come back and beat up. It is funny, but like I kind of get nervous about it. I just want to make sure it's clean. I've actually farmed it around a little bit, like shopped it around just to see what a true value was, because there's some people, on eBay, you always get the one guy that's going to throw it up at auction that's going to sell for $400, and then you see the other end, like the manual to this thing sells for like 100 and something. So it's kind of a rare deal. But anyway, that's my best monetary. My best finds have definitely been, some of these big buys that I actually had another crazy one that Cernoch was somewhat involved in this because I FaceTimed him from the attic of a estate sale. And I'm like, Cernoch, you won't believe I just fell into the 1980, 1990 Belk in here, and it's got vintage clothing from that era just on racks. The guy was a manager at a Belk store, and apparently I don't know if he threw this, like if it came out the back door or what happened there, but this guy had a bunch of new on tag, old stock stuff. When I first got into selling on Whatnot, I actually sold a ton of that stuff. OP, like Zach Morris Extraordinaire, old Bo Cephas shirt that was concert tee from way back. Like Cernoch was involved. He's in there picking with me. He's like, man, if this was closer, I would already be there. But it's for me, honestly, some of my best finds have been like with other people picking, like getting the opportunity. Because I'll be honest, like we enjoy the find on here. Like typically, if you come and hang out with us on Tuesdays, usually you're going to get a show and tell at some point. Like you're going to get, and we don't do it to brag. We get stoked when other people that are friends of ours find stuff. We're like, dude, that's unreal. Like, I can't believe you found that. Like when Leroy called me the other day about those sat phones, I was like, dude, that's awesome, man. This guy pulled about 2 or 3 of those sat phones out of state for next to nothing. Like it's always a good time to find stuff that's, out of the ordinary. Sometimes you're like, why is this here? it's just, like for me, I'm looking at that stereo. I'm like, why is that here? Why is this turntable here? The guy had a bunch of music stuff, but I guess back in the day, he was serious about it. All right. We got one more question. I was hoping that Tim could pop back in, but we'll see. The next question for us, and this is something that we do get asked from time to time. One is, so if you watch YouTube in the world of reselling, you're going to get all kinds of opinions. Now we always say there's definitely more than one way to do this thing. So the question is, should I niche down or should I sell a little bit of everything? And that it could be a question that is like Tim said. I don't know that there's a full right or wrong answer, but we're going to try to tackle it. So, Leroy, I'm going to let you go first. Maybe.
All right, so I'm gonna straight off the tongue. I'm gonna be like niche down, but that's not true, because if you come in my warehouse and you look at the stuff that I find or the stuff that I sell sometimes on my eBay, I do have other things that I do sell that I do have knowledge about. So it's not that I niche down because that's the only thing I know. I know other things. I know if I get tools and hardware, that's gonna drive me, and I'd rather sell $10 items than sell a shirt for $200 because I got no interest in the shirt. And every time there's a problem with the customer or whatever, I'm gonna blame it because I really don't like that item. So I personally say I like to niche down, but I also do a lot of other things as well.
Cernoch.
I think it is okay to niche down, but when I go out places, it's hard to niche down because if I say I'm only going to do vintage concert shirts, okay? Well, this year I haven't found many vintage concert shirts. It's hard, okay? But everything around me, there's this video game system here, this here. So what I would say is, what do you like to buy? What are you familiar with? Okay. If that's something that you like to buy, maybe that can be your niche. Okay. But also keep your eyes open, because I always say there's money out in the streets. Okay. So, I love selling clothing, shoes, and hats. So say hats. I am very, very, and y'all know this, I'm very knowledgeable with hats. Okay. But that gives me an opportunity to know that certain thing. So when I go out to garage sales, I can ask about hats. I can talk about hats. I can know what to look for. So those are all things, but I definitely keep my eyes out for other things that are like, hey, video games, I can ship that. I know something about that. And as you're growing your knowledge base, I think it's okay to pick up other items to sell, because guess what? On eBay and a lot of these other platforms, you're not just known for, I'm not just known for hats. Oh, that Cernochsconnection, that's just a hat site. No, I sell everything. And the way people search on eBay, they may just look for your one item. Okay. I might put up a snap-on wrench set. Okay. That Leroy knows everything about, that I have known nothing about, but I did a little bit of research, put it up there. And guess what? They're not going into my store and going, wait a minute, this guy's got a bunch of shoes. He's got a bunch of shirts. He's got a bunch of hats. Why did I buy a snap-on from this guy? No, they're looking at the listing going, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I want. Boom, buy it, pay for it. Okay? So that's where, like, I think niching down, helps you with your knowledge base. But when it comes to you selling on eBay or on these other platforms, I don't know necessarily it's good. It definitely doesn't work that way. So that's my 2 cents on that.
It's funny because where I live, and guys, if you ever look at a map of the Outer Banks, like where I live, I'm literally in the ocean, like literally. I live on a small island. I have to drive everywhere. It's 45 minutes to get to Walmart where I live. Like, we do have thrift stores out here, but we live at the beach. So it's one of those things. Opportunities, some of which I've had to create opportunities, right? To buy things. But I know this, like, okay, I've got friends of mine who are in a estate business. I go to theirs. The first couple years they were it for me. I did the thrifting for a little while. But if you're near a major city, you probably have more opportunities to niche down. Like, I see guys like Daily Refinement, like these guys. I mean, the guy lives in a metropolitan area. Like, I mean, there is rag houses. There is people that just go and pick clothing specifically for him. Like, for me, I don't have those opportunities. Like, and believe me, it's not for lack of looking, because I can tell you the guys on this panel, we actually ran into somebody last year that we could have done something along those lines. Like, but it just didn't make sense. It's too much risk versus reward, right? So that's something you have to look at if you're going to niche down. Is can you find a supply enough of that, just like we talked about earlier, to where the numbers make sense, right? Can I find enough of that item? We know people that do shoes. We know people that do clothes. We do some people that do, hey, I even know people on eBay, all they sell is new items. I got a buddy of mine, he does just strictly replenishables. And it's stuff that he's importing in to do that. But I can tell you what's happened to him in times past is, like, when COVID hit and you're importing items from a place where people believe COVID came from. Guess what happens to your items? No items. So, like, there's struggles. There's struggles with all of it. For me, I like the opportunities that I see. I'll quote my buddy Old School Picker. Here's what he says: sell what you find. Sell what you find. Like, you can't sell it if you can't find it, but you can find it. And, like, does that mean I have things that I enjoy picking up? I'm much like Cernoch, man. I think about when Cernoch turned me onto the hat game. I can tell you, I've always had an affection for him because my granddad was a farmer. He had hats everywhere. He got hats all the time. He always wore a hat. I wore a hat when I was younger. Like, it's one of those things. So for me, I think of my granddad when I'm out picking hats. I'm like, oh, check out this farm hat. That's cool. Like, get geeked up on that stuff a little bit. Does that mean hey, these guys ain't got no hats, I guess I'm going to go down the road. I just drove 45 minutes to get to this sale, but I'm just going to leave. That would be stupid on my part. Like, why would I do that? I actually make it a challenge on myself to learn more items, to learn more things, to learn more. Because here's the thing, okay, you can see different stores, right, and different models. And Cernoch touched on the eBay thing. He touched on, the fact that when you have a store in eBay, it ain't like brick and mortar, right? It ain't like hey, this is the lollipop store. All we sell is lollipops here. Like that ain't the case. But there are similarities in other degrees. Okay. Think about this. Think about you go to the outlet mall, this store, they sell whatever brand of shoes. Like we used to have a Bass shoes in our outlet mall. All they sold is Bass shoes. You had things that went with Bass shoes. You had things that went with that. Okay, so if I go into Bass shoes, I'm going there because I'm looking for Bass shoes. That's it. Okay, then down the road, we have Walmart. You know what Walmart has? Everything. Everything, right? So who's going to sell more items? Walmart or Bass shoes? Like if you're going to niche down, you've got to be the best or you got to be the cheapest. If you're in a certain category, got to be the best, you got to be the cheapest. If you're niched down to that category, you got to build a reputation with repeat buyers. You're going to have to offer some kind of coupon. We know in competitive markets, dude, there's so many people selling shoes right now. There's so many people selling clothes right now. There's so many people selling certain things, and they're so concentrated because they've seen somebody else do that. And that's great. Can you make a lot of money doing that? Absolutely. Can you make a lot of money doing other things? Absolutely. You know, could you be the only, hey, I sell this particular brand of camera accessory and I sell 100 of them a day. My buddy that does replenishables, he's literally got 5 or 6 items. He sells more than I do. And it's 5 or 6 items and they're cheap items. But here's the problem. Somebody can knock them off in a minute. If you're relying on one source for your inventory, what if that dude dies? Like, I mean, that's morbid to think about, but what if that dude dies? Yeah, your supply is cut. What if that guy found somebody else that'll pay more than what you did? Then you're out. Then what are you back? You're back to square one. Now you're having to try to figure it all out. I would encourage you, if you are going to do replenishables, have more than one source for one, just to help yourself out. Replenishables are niched down to, I'm just this way. The guys that you see that are ultra successful at it, they have multiple sources that if one hole dries up, they've got another one, right? But if all your eggs are in one basket, dude, don't drop the basket because you're out. You're done. So that's for me. That's my little rant over. The other thing for me is why I don't niche down is I honestly get bored, man. I like new things. If I wanted to work at the factory, I'd go work at the factory. But I like to go picking and I like to find cool things everywhere I go. So that's my 2 cents. Well, guys, do thank each and every one of you guys for being here. And if you do have more questions, like I said, feel free to drop them. Also, don't forget, man, drop your eBay store in there. You know, we won't bang on you if you're Bass shoes. We won't say anything bad about you.
It's not a critique. It's not a store critique.
Yeah.
We're trying to get you some sales, okay? We're gonna show some items and say, hey, these are some cool items.
That's what it is. So we want to help you any way we can. And like I said, it's I always say, and we always say here, there's a lot of ways to do this thing. You know, really, what you're going to find above all is consistency. Consistency is going to make you money no matter how you do it. Like, I mean, if you're consistent with what you're doing and you're putting in the work and you're learning every day and you're picking up, you know, maybe things you pick up from us works for you. Maybe they don't. You know, maybe things you pick up from somebody else works for you. Maybe they don't. You know, I watch tons of people like in what they do. And I don't agree with everything that everybody does. But hey, I'm willing to learn and to try. So that's what we're here for. So we're gonna give our salutes on the way out. So Leroy,
Guys, thank you for watching. You guys continue doing what you do. You have any questions, try to reach out to us. I got some stuff that just sold, so I got to go run to the warehouse and pack it up before 5 o'clock. Thank you very much, guys.
Cernoch.
Hey, I want to thank everyone for, watching, commenting. Definitely get your Christmas, get your stores in the comments so we can definitely show these, before Christmas, generate some sales for you, hopefully. And just show up some cool items and just kind of a thank you from all of us here at the Reseller Information Network. Hopefully you learned something today. I know we always try to, we bring our opinions. Some are strong, some are fierce, some are, I'll die with this opinion forever. But hey, hope you've learned something, and hopefully you can take what we're telling you and make your successful business. That's what we're doing. We're trying to give back to the reselling community, and we want to see you succeed. So any kind of questions you may have, any kind of comments, definitely drop them down below. And if you're liking it, just let us know that too. I'm liking it. Hopefully y'all. Sorry I wasn't here next week. I am healthy now, so you'll be seeing my smiling face. I did have to shave a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna grow it out or not. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling a little naked up here. So.
Hey guys, as always, we do thank you. I couldn't do it justice to tell you, but hey, tell a friend to tell a friend about RIN, the Reseller Information Network. We will see you next time.
Let's go.